Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video, I'm testing out a Pokemon that I finally have access to for the first time, and that is Klefki. Klefki is typically a regional Pokemon found in France. However, at the Go Fest that took place in New York City this summer, which I attended, they actually had Klefki spawn, so I was finally able to get one. Klefki is a Steel and Fairy type Pokemon, and the moveset I'm going to be running is Astonish, Foul Play, and Flash Cannon. So today, I'm looking to see, does Klefki have any play in the current Open Great League meta? So without further ado, let's hop into the matches, and let's take a look at Klefki in action in the Open Great League. Hopping to the first match, picking up a losing lead, Shadow Quagsire versus Azumarill. I'm going to farm up a ton of energy, switch into the Tentacruel, and get the catch. It doesn't matter what I catch, every move Azumarill has is resisted. It will be the player of out comes a non-Shadow Gligar. I'm going to farm up with the Tentacruel, and I do lose Charge Attack priority. I'm going to let this go. Non-Shadow, I might barely live this. They actually Aerial Ace bait, so that is even better for me. I can now launch this Scald. Scald will do a ton of damage. Unfortunately, I do not get the debuff. They're going to be able to pick up the knockout with the Aerial Ace, but I believe this is actually a pretty good range for Klefki to get an Astonish farm down. In comes Klefki, able to get the farm down, and I now have a nice energy lead. The question is, what is that final Pokemon? They're not going to reveal it. They're sending out Azumarill. And Azumarill, I'm going to be firing off the Flash Cannon. This will hit for some decent neutral damage into the Azumarill. They're going to let that go. I switch into the Shadow Quagsire, and I am going for the Aqua Tail bait. The Aqua Tail bait does get shielded. I click the Stone Edge. They switch into Trevenant, and this game is over. This is just a win. The Stone Edge does so much damage. I'm going to look to shield and massively farm up with the Shadow Quagsire. They go for the Seed Bomb. And now, I can look to farm up so much energy because they're low enough that I can probably just knock out with an Aqua Tail. Aqua Tail shielded up by the Trevenant, but I have so much energy. Another Aqua Tail ready to go, knocking out that Trevenant. In comes Azumarill. I make it to the Aqua Tail. While this will not KO, this is going to set up Klefki to finish the game. I send in the Klefki opponent firing off energy here. They are going to go for a Hydro Punt, but Klefki tanks the damage, gets the Astonish down, and takes the win. Hopping into the next match, we get a Dream Lead Shadow Quagsire versus Bastiodon. Bonus save switches into a Sableye, and this is actually, allegedly, a good matchup for Klefki. I'm going to chip with the Aqua Tail, and now bring in the Klefki. Klefki is a complete wall to the charge attacks from Sableye. Sableye is going to be running Return and Foul Play, both of which are resisted. I'm farming up with the Klefki, firing off this Foul Play. I do end up throwing on Alignment because I want to force them to make the first shielding decision of the match. But the opponent ends up giving me the fast move right back as they throw on Alignment as well. This will actually allow me to outpace now, make it to the Foul Play, and unless they're willing to double shield, I get to maintain switch. They are just going to let that through and go for farm on the Bastiodon. Anytime I see Bastiodon, I'm always preparing myself for a Victory Bell in the back. If it is Victory Bell, I'm going to have to switch pretty quickly into the Tentacruel. Now, I am going to be sending in the Shadow Quagsire to their loaded Stone Edge, and I am expecting them to Stone Edge and then bring in the Vic. So they will Stone Edge, there's the Vic, I quick switch out into my Tentacruel, and now this game is over. I can just go straight Acid Spray. It doesn't matter whether they shield or not. The important thing is the lowering of their defense. So now these Poison Jabs will absolutely shred the Victory Bell. I will commit the shield. They are going to go for the Leap Blade. Tentacruel gets the farm down. Oh my, I'm actually going to get a Scald here as well. Tentacruel putting in so much work as that Smackdown actually did not KO. And now I should be one off of an Aqua Tail. And Shadow Aqua Tail should be game over here for the opponent. Aqua Tail into the Bastiodon, leaves them on 1 HP, but the Mud Shot after takes the win. Terrible lead in the next match, Shadow Quagsire versus Shadow Dragonite. I save switch into Tentacruel, out comes a Registeel, and we are off to a terrible start in this game. I will fire off the Scald, fishing for a debuff, but the Scald chance is only 30%, so it's far more likely that you're not going to get the debuff than actually getting it. They will go for the Zap Cannon connects, and that is going to set up basically a perfect farm down for them, as they do get the Zap Cannon debuff as well. I fire off the Scald not going to do a lot of damage. Again, no debuff. They get the full farm down, and unfortunately for me, I'm going to lose a lot of HP here on the Focus Blast. I have to try and commit to a Mudshot farm down. That's my only hope. So I will commit to the farm down, and I get it. That's huge. In comes Dragonite. I have the Stone Edge. They're always going to shield here, so I will go for the Aqua Tail bait. I get the shield. I switch to Klefki. In the back is Vigoroth, and this is just game over. Unfortunately, Astonish being double resisted here means that up a shield, and even though I resist the charge attacks from the Vigoroth, I don't think there's a way that I can win this endgame. So I will fire off the foul play. That just does not do the damage that you would want it to do. I will commit the shield. I'm still going to try and play this out and try and win this game, but I just don't really see a path forward. They're able to make it to another Body Slam. This Body Slam is not going to be able to KO, but it will just get me very low. I'm forced to undertap because I'm just taking too much counter damage, so I go for the foul play. I'm going to send in Quag, out comes the Dragonite, and I make it to the Stone Edge. Maybe there's a chance if they no-shield the Dragonite, they no-shield the Dragonite, but the Vigoroth, it's still too healthy. I can't Astonish down. Made it as close as I could, but unfortunately that is a loss. We've got an atrocious lead in the next match, Shadow Quagsire versus Shadow Victreebel. I save switch into Tentacruel, and these Bastiodon, Wigglytuff, Victreebel teams have no response to Tentacruel. Their best bet is to send out the Bastiodon, but if they do, then they get swept by Klefki. They actually send out a Wigglytuff into a Tentacruel after getting Acid Spray debuffed, and I'm just going to win switch here. I land the Scald, I get the farm down, I win switch, and this is just game over. The opponent now in a position where their Victreebel is about to get completely cooked by a set of card keys. The Leaf Blade not going to do a whole lot. We're going to see a full Astonish farm down by the Klefki. Opponent does not want to show their Bastiodon in the back, and they will resign the match. We've got bad lead after bad lead for the Quagsire. Oh my goodness. Leading into a Serperior. I save switch into the Tentacruel, and they're going to stay in and launch a Frenzy Plant. That would do a lot of damage, so I will commit the shield. Out comes a Shadow Quagsire. Scald will do a lot of damage. Unfortunately, I don't have a lot of farm down pressure, but the opponent actually does give me the shield back. That's quite nice. I'm never going to be shielding here. I know that they're going to be able to do significant damage with the Stone Edge, but it does not KO, and I can make another Scald. And I just have to hope against hope that somehow Klefki up a shield can do well in the back. I'm going to bring in my own Quagsire to theirs. And the nice thing here is I'm not in a range where two Aqua Tails will KO. I'm hoping that with the damage they've taken that I'll be able to knock them out with two Aqua Tails. They're going to be firing off a move. It is going to get me very low. And unfortunately, I don't think this Aqua Tail will be enough here. I will go for it. The Aqua Tail is going to get them low, but I can't get to the second Aqua Tail that I need. They're going to be able to pick up the knockout, and I just have to hope that Klefki can sweep in the back. In comes Klefki. It's Skarmory in the back, and this is unfortunately game over. Klefki is a Fairy Steel type, which means Steel Wing will hit for neutral. And Steel Wing is an incredibly good fast move. It's one of the best fast moves in the game, arguably. And these Steel Wings, like, look at this. I'm just getting absolutely torn to shreds. I'm trying to Astonish it into a range where Foul Play will KO, but even at this range, Foul Play would not KO, so there was no point in throwing. They make the Brave Bird. That will KO the Klefki, and unfortunately, I do lose the game. Hopping into the next match, we've got a very good lead. Shadow Quagsire versus the Charjabug. Charjabug going to be able to pace and strike first with the X-Scissor, but that's very okay by me. They go for the X-Scissor, they safe switch into a Azumarill and Trainer. That is not a safe swap. In comes Tentacruel. I'm going to Acid Spray, and then I'm farming all the way down. This is Azumarill's worst meta matchup. Its entire moveset is walled. There's nothing it can learn to damage Tentacruel. They're going to go for a Hydro Pump. Even if they land a second one, it still does not KO. But Tentacruel is going to get a massive, massive farm down. They're probably going to be sending back in the Charjabug. I really don't want to concede a big farm down to the Charjabug, so I'm going to launch this Scald. The Scald will connect, and I'm going to be able to make the Scald number 2. If they shield this, I'm actually going to switch out into the Quagsire, because I don't want to give up the farm. So I'm going to throw one Poison Jab, switch to defer the Volt Switch on the Quagsire, and then go for the Aqua Tail. That forces the shield. They're firing their energy. I'll shield because I don't know what's in back, and I don't want to rely on 2-shield Klefki. In the back, it's a Water Gun Lantern, and I'm really happy I shielded the Quagsire. So the opponent running a team that's very weak to Quag, I'm able to land the Stone Edge, and I make Stone Edge number 2 as well. Quagsire just on a rampage, knocking out electric types left and right. In comes the Charjabug, and guess what, Charjabug? I have Klefki in the back. Klefki going to be able to absorb this discharge perfectly fine, Astonish down the Charjabug, and take the win. We move to the next match, Shadow Quagsire versus Umbreon. Umbreon, not a Pokemon that's seen too frequently anymore, but still has some pretty solid neutral play. I'm going to strike first with the Stone Edge. Stone Edge is going to output some pretty decent damage, and then I'm going to look to catch onto the Tentacruel. The moves from the Umbreon would hit neutral on either the Quag or the Tentacruel, but realistically, I want to try and keep the Quag healthy. Quag is very neutral into a lot of things, and considering that if they're leading Umbreon, they have to have counters to Azumarill in the back in case there's something like a Lantern back there, I do need to preserve HP on the Quag. They fire off energy, going for another foul play that will not KO, and now I'm going to connect with the Scald. Scald won't KO either, but I should be able to get a farm down. Opponent is going to switch out into Defense Deoxys. Deoxys gets an energy advantage. I'm now in a bit of an interesting position. I'm going to send in the Quag, and ideally, I would love to try and catch a Psycho Boost onto Klefki. If I can catch a Psycho Boost onto Klefki, then I should be in a pretty okay spot. So I throw a couple, try for the catch, and the catch attempt is unsuccessful, and this means they're now going to be able to hit for significant damage with Thunderbolt. I will commit the shield, but I'm so far behind on energy because I tried to make a fancy play, and a lot of the times I can get away with it. I can get the prediction right, but in this case, I get the prediction wrong, and that's going to cost me. In the back is Azumarill, so the opponent running a team that is extremely weak to an Azumarill lead. Flash Cannon does get shielded up. They will need a Hydro Pump if they want to KO Klefki, because Klefki, of course, is going to be resisting both the Ice Beam and the Play Rough. Flash Cannon is going to connect the switch into the Quag, but unfortunately, they fire off their energy. It is going to be the Ice Beam. Ice Beam is going to get Quag low. I'm going for the Stone Edge. I need this to knock out to have any chance in this game. And the Azu lives on 1 HP. Shadow Quag just cannot do enough damage. And unfortunately, Klefki is going to get KO'd by a charge attack from the Deoxys. If that was able to KO, I think I had a chance because the Quag could have tanked a couple counters, but unfortunately, it is not to be. We move to the next match. Terrible lead. The Shadow Quag versus the Shadow Abomasnow. Opponent is going to counter switch Sableye into the Tentacruel safe switch, and Tentacruel up energy can do very fine here. They connect with a foul play. I'm going for the Scald, and unless they shield this, I can make a play for switch. So I go for the Scald. They no shield. I don't get the debuff again, and now I'm just going to look for a full farm down. They're always going to try and go for a CMP tie there, and I'm just not going to let them. I'm just going to fully farm down, and this way, I win switch, and that means the Abomasnow is going to be stuck against Klefki. In comes the Abomasnow. I'm going for the Acid Spray, hoping that I can survive the 2 Powder Snows here, and I do! I barely survived the second. I'm able to make another Acid Spray. They double shield the Abomasnow just to get walled by Klefki. In the back, they have a Azumarill, and this game is over, as now I can bring in the Shadow Quagsire. Quagsire going to be able to survive a Play Rough, no problem, and then I can start launching Stone Edges at the Azu. I farm up just shy of 100 energy. It's important to try to get as close to it as you can while not actually exceeding the 100 energy. I'm going for another Stone Edge. This will not KO. I've learned this. It is going to get them quite low, though. Their play is to try and farm me down, but Shadow Quag is just too spammy. Being able to pick up the knockout onto Azumarill, they're going to get a farm down with the Abomasnow, but there's just nothing the Abomasnow can do. I would love to go for a little bit of a bad manners Flash Cannon here, but Astonish is such a bad fast move that realistically it's going to take me forever to get there. Like, Astonish does a lot of damage, but the energy generation on it is very, very poor, so I'm just going to go for the foul play and take the win. Hopping into the next match here, Shadow Quagsire. We've got a mirror as the opponent has Shadow Quagsire as well. I'm not super familiar with this matchup, to be honest. I will fire off the Aqua Tail. Aqua Tail is going to inflict some pretty nice damage. It looks like, it's going to be really close as to whether a second Aqua Tail will actually be able to knock out here. So that Aqua Tail will connect. I go for the Aqua Tail, and I win Charge Attack priority. If this knocks out, it'll be massive. But it just does not. My opponent barely able to hang on, so that's good info to know about the Quagsire mirror. I'm going to switch out into Tentacruel and get a nice Poison Jab farm down. In comes a Charjabug, and this is not good for me. I'm farming up, and I'm going to fire off the Scald. Scald will do some very nice damage onto the Charjabug. Scald is going to be no-shielded. I'm looking to farm up, and here I have the energy for the Acid Spray, and I think the Tentacruel wins Charge Attack priority. So I shield, I click the Acid Spray, and I don't run a lot of Tentacruel, so I wasn't sure. I thought I won Charge Attack priority there, but I don't. But in the back is Annihilate. this game might still be winnable. Annihilate getting torn to shreds by the Astonishes. Unfortunately, for me, the energy generation is so poor here. I'm going to try and catch the Shadow Ball. My opponent, they throw on 7. This is just a Night Slash. It's not enough to KO here. The Night Slash, I send in the Quag, hoping to snipe. I can't quite get there. Charjabug withstands the Astonish, and I get it as close as I can, but unfortunately, I do not win the game. All in all, I'm thrilled to finally have Klefki in my Pokédex. It's a very cool Pokemon design, and realistically, having it spawn at something like the Go Fest in New York City was a lot more convenient than trying to go all the way across to France. The thing I will say, however, is it was really, really difficult to use. Astonish, unfortunately, even after multiple buffs, is still a pretty spectacularly mediocre fast move. It would really benefit, I feel like the damage is in a pretty decent spot. It would really benefit from better energy generation, because currently it's just really, really slow. Additionally, with the Klefki moveset, non-stab foul play just ends up feeling very underwhelming as a bait move. If you can land a Flash Cannon can actually output some damage, but the foul play ended up being a little disappointing. So I would love in the future if Klefki does end up getting more of a global release at like a global Go Fest or something like that. I would also love to see a bit of a move update for it. The typing is very cool. Fairy Steel, not a typing you see a whole lot outside of stuff like Mawile. So I would like if Klefki got a little bit of love, because Klefki, I think, is an incredibly cool Pokemon. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you as always to our members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is sincerely appreciated. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.